Hello and welcome back, fellow Sinisters. Today is number 2 of Sinister Week. Heck yes.
Yay!
Today we're going to be talking about how the Tylenol murders affected trunk or treating. If you know, trunk or treating is usually a get together around Halloween time. It's sometimes on Halloween, sometimes before. It's people that get together and open their trunk of their cars and they give out candy that way instead of going through neighborhoods. Now let's see how they got affected, shall we? Okay, September 29th, 1982. 12-year-old Mary Kellerman was a 7th grader at Adams Junior High in Schwamberg and living in northwest Chicago suburbs. She babysat the local children and was an avid horseback rider. One morning, she had walked into her parents' room at dawn and told her parents she had a sore throat and a runny nose. Naturally, her parents had given her one extra strength Tylenol capsule. And at 7 a.m., her parents saw Mary on the bathroom floor and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. They believed it was caused by a stroke, although later evidence showed cyanide in her system.
That same day, a 27-year-old man, Adam Janis, I'm not sure if I'm reading the last name right, but apologies if I am. Adam Janis was a father of two in Arlington Heights, Illinois. He died of what was initially thought to be a massive heart attack, but turned out to be cyanide poisoning as well. His brother and sister-in-law, Stanley 25 and Teresa 19, of Isle, Illinois, rushed to his home to console their loved ones, both experiencing throbbing headaches, a not uncommon response to a death in the family, or a death at all, and each took a Tylenol extra strength capsule, or two of the same bottles that Adam had used earlier in the day. Stanley had died that very same day, and Teresa had died 2 days later.
September 29th, 1982. 27-year-old Mary Reiner of Winfield, Illinois, was happily married to her husband, Ed, and they were welcoming their 4th child into the world. Mary was experiencing postpartum pain from giving birth, so she took a couple Tylenol to help with the pain, but would pass away tragically.
It was Fire Lieutenant Chuck Kramer who recognized that just that morning authorities had responded to a similar emergency at the same address. Believing the incidents were linked and could have affected other members of the family, he ordered everyone in the house to be quarantined at the hospital. He then contacting Arlington Heights' only public health official, Helen Jensen, to begin an investigation into the deaths.
Over the next few days, more strange death occurred. September 30th, 1982, 35-year-old Mary McFarland of Elmhurst, Illinois, a single mother of 2, was working at the Illinois Bell when she developed a headache. Mary went to the back office and took 2 Tylenol hoping to subdue her headache, but as she walked back to work, she collapsed in front of colleagues, eventually passing away.
October 1st, 1982, Paula Prince of Chicago was a 35-year-old woman who was working as a flight attendant. The day of her death, she was flying from Las Vegas to O'Hare International Airport. Upon landing, she went and bought a bottle of Tylenol on her way home, but would be found dead in her apartment.
The county's chief toxicologist began to run tests on the Tylenol capsules and realized that some of the pills contained nearly 3 times the amount of cyanide needed to kill someone. The police had one main suspect named James Lewis. James sent a ransom letter to Tylenol that manufacturer Johnson & Johnson shortly after the murders and had been a primary suspect for the past 40 years. He was never charged with the crime, and Lewis was described as by police as a chameleon, living across several states and using at least 20 different aliases. He worked numerous different jobs, including a computer specialist, tax accountant, and an importer of Indian tapestry and salesman of jewelry, and pharmaceutical machinery and real estate per AP. He also had a problem with the law. Several years prior to the poisonings, he had been accused of murdering and dismembering Raymond West. He had been one of his accounting clients, but the charges were ultimately dropped because of West's case cause of death was not determined and some evidence had been illegally obtained. Then, in 1951, Lewis was convicted of mail fraud as part of a credit card scheme, using the name of a former tax client to illegally obtain 13 credit cards. Around that time, he also sent a letter to then President Ronald Reagan threatening to kill him with a remote-controlled plane.
The Tylenol murders in 1982 led to fears about poisoned Halloween candy, causing some communities to cancel trick-or-treating or switch to store-bought candies. While in 1982 poisonings occurred in September, the nationwide panic contributed to the heightened concern about the safety of trick-or-treating during the Halloween season that year. The Chicago area incident involved the tampering of Tylenol capsules with cyanide, resulting in 7 deaths.
While myths about the poison candy already existed, the high-profile unsolved murder case fueled widespread paranoia, causing parents to seek a safer, more controlled way for their children to celebrate Halloween, such as causing some communities to, again, cancel trick-or-treating or switch to the store-bought candy.
The Tylenol murders of 1982 contributed significantly to the rise of trunk-or-treating by dramatically escalating public fears of tainted Halloween candy. While myths about poison candy already existed, the high profile of unsolved Tylenol
I
case.
just read that. That's what I just read.
Shit. Alright.
What time are we at? Can we cut?
6 6 minutes. Alright.
Okay, we'll cut at 6 minutes.
Commonly, the story appears in the media when a young child dies suddenly after Halloween. Medical investigations into the actual cause of death has always shown that these children did not die from eating candy given to them by strangers. However, in rare cases, adult family members have spread this story to cover up filicide or accidental deaths. In other incidents, a child who has been told about poisoned candy places a dangerous object or substance in a pile of candy and pretends that it was the work of a stranger. This behavior is called the copycat effect. Folklorists, scholars, and law enforcement experts say that the story about strangers putting poison in candy and giving that candy to trick or treating children has been thoroughly debunked.
Claims that candy was poisoned or adulterated gained general credence during the Industrial Revolution, when food production moved out of the home or the local area, where it was made in familiar ways by known and trusted people, to strangers using unknown processes and ingredients by unfamiliar machines and processes. Some doctors publicly claimed that they were treating children by poisoned candy every day. If a child became ill and had eaten candy, the candy was widely assumed to be the cause. However, no causes or illnesses or death were ever substantiated. Moving into discussion about this, I do want to bring up another murder case that we will, I think, be talking about in our next video. Uh, there was a father who had given his son pixie sticks with cyanide in them, and that could be another lead cause for the trunk or treating to become, again, widely popular, but that is only many of the factors or reasons that this has become a very widespread thing.
I,
I just want to bring up the fact that I think personally trunk or treating and all these myths and people being scared has killed Halloween and the tradition of going out trick or treating. It's not the same. You know what I mean?
right, I think last Halloween I had been talking to a friend and he was talking about how he had maybe two families come to his door on Halloween. He had passed out candy to two families that night, and that's it.
Yeah, and I know we've personally have gone to a trunk or treat before, and I gotta say, I had more people there than I've ever seen out trick or treating lately.
Right?
I went last year with a friend of mine, and we there was no kids. There was almost nobody giving out candy because they were all going to the trunk or treats. It's a more community event now. It's more common than people going out at night when it's dangerous or cold or something.
Right. And I think the thing with trunk or treats is the cars are always super close together. I know for some trunk or treats, there was one that I was at last year that had some fun activities like axe throwing and painting and all of that.
Man, I feel like maybe that people aren't quite thinking quite clearly because it's still the same thing. You're still getting candy from people that you don't know. You're still getting the same things as if you were to go actually trick or treating. So it's kind of weird how it caused this effect to have trunk or treating become the more popular thing.
Right. As well, last year, my schools, like not specifically my school, but the school in my community does this thing where there's kind of a neighborhood at the school that basically most of the kids that go there live. And
Hmm.
like it's a pretty big neighborhood, and like they all do this conjoined event to where you just walk around trick or treating in that specific neighborhood. And I remember
Right.
the principal at that school had like a little food warmer out on the table of their house, and they were just passing out McDonald's cheeseburgers. It was like the first house we went to, and oh my gosh, it was so good.
That's funny. I want to say that I don't think trunk or treating is a horrible thing. I was just thinking, what would be a good situation for trunk or treating to exist? And maybe that people like that live in apartment buildings, if they don't really have trick or treaters, maybe if they want to be a part of giving out candy, trunk or treating is a great alternative to that. But I think we need to bring back Halloween culture. I'm grumpy. I'm grumpy. Let's bring back Halloween.
Right? Like, I remember when I was a kid, like, it was all about trick or treating. And,
Right. Kids don't go trick or
right?
treating like that anymore.
Like, talking to my little brother and little sisters, they, like, their whole childhood is of trunk or treating. They don't have the memories of going with their older siblings to just random houses to trick or treat.
And that's gonna do it for today, guys. We are having some technical difficulties, so we're sorry if the ending doesn't quite make sense. We tried to do a little bit of a discussion, but we aren't quite sure where we're leaving off at. But we hope you guys have a great day. It's a little bit of a shorter video for you guys today, but we'll be back with the last video for Halloween murders tomorrow.